Hello everyone and welcome back to our next review of the Unbroken Ones cards in this bite-sized videos going over each and every one of the relevant cards thanks to our friends over at Limitless TCG. Thank you so much for posting the updated or the actual set list for this new huge set. So we have already gone through the grass, water and fire, or grass, fire and water types. Now we are moving on to lightning types, which so far lightning has been pretty dominant in our current metagame. It seems like fire types will now be the new most powerful force, but that doesn't mean that lightning is going anywhere. I do believe that lightning type decks, both Pikachu and Zapdos, will be tier 1 decks despite the new set bringing a lot of fire type support. And so let's see what these new lightning types can bring to the table to help these archetypes. So we have Raichu with its 120 HP being a stage 1 decent number, not the greatest, but definitely average. And then we have the first attack called Never Give Up. You can only use this attack if you have 3 or more less prize cards than your opponent, and you attach all lightning energy cards from your discard vault to your Pokemon in play in any way you like. So basically this is an attempt at a comeback card, but the fact that in order for you to use the attack you have to be 3 or more prize cards away from your opponent, right? So best case scenario, they have 3 and you have 6, and then use the attack Never Give Up. Yes, you attach a lot of lightning energy from your discard pile into play, but number 1, you have to get a lot of energy for that to matter. And number 2, since it is an attack, then Raichu will just likely go down, increasing the price deficit to 4. So is it really viable to recover off of something like that? Because if that happens, then it is very likely that you will have powered up a GX, such as Pikachu and Zekrom. However, that means your opponent only has 1 more Pokemon left to knock out before they win the game. So definitely an interesting effect, but just not competitively viable whatsoever. Next up we have Stunfisk with its 110 HP. It is a basic Pokemon. Its attack Raging Thunder does 30 damage, and this attack does 10 damage to one of your benched Pokemon. So it's like a mini Jet Punch. The damage to the bench is definitely underwhelming, but the fact that it is at colorless cost does mean that you can play it in pretty much any deck. It does apply weakness and resistance as well, but it does apply weakness, meaning 1 Electro Power with a Raging Thunder is a 1-hit KO on Zapdos, so this could potentially be a decent basic to include in Zapdos decks which are looking to get return KOs on opposing Pokemon and the Zapdos mirror matches. However, if it had 120 HP, it would be a lot better. 110 means it's in range of a single Electro Power as well, so then the trade-off is just not quite there. Next up, we do have the DEDENNE GX with its 160 HP. Now this is probably one of the most hyped lightning type Pokemon in the whole set. This is probably the best one to go and complement the current fighting lightning type decks because of its ability Discharge. Discharge allows you to, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards. So it's essentially a very similar effect to Shaymin. However, you do get to discard cards that can sometimes be a bit detrimental. We are going a little bit back to the ways of Sycamore, where you discard your hand and draw 7. However, there isn't any such effect in Standard right now. It does have synergy with Coco Prism Star as well, because if you discard lightning energies, then you can get them back with Dance of the Ancients, and just a fresh new hand is really good. And all sorts of Pokemon draw power have always been very good. We have seen Oranguru see a lot of play. We have seen Octillery, Macargo, Let Loose, Marshadow, Tapu Lele. Any Pokemon that has an ability that gives you card advantage is almost always going to be viable in some sort of deck. And the DEDENNE GX is honestly a Pokemon that could go in pretty much any deck, but even in lightning decks, it does have the ability to attack as well. Static Shock dealing 50 for 2 energy, nothing to write home about, actually pretty underwhelming I would say. However, Electric Turn GX does deal 50 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, and you put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. So that's a pretty neat attack. A nice way to reuse the ability of the DEDENNE GX or simply get it out of harm's way, and it can be increased in its damage output with Electro Power. So a very nice GX attack complementing a very nice ability. However, if you do end up using this GX attack, it's definitely one of the least powerful GX attacks out there. So very balanced card. I do expect to see this card pretty much as a 1 or 2 of in every other deck, or pretty much every deck. That would not surprise me at all. This is probably one of the best cards in the whole set, alongside Charizard and Reshiram Tag Team GX. Now, next up, we do have a couple of very synergetic cards. First off, we have Charge Bug. So why is a stage 1 here? Well, its ability Battery says if this card is in your hand, you may attach it as a special energy to one of your VIKAVOLT or VIKAVOLT GX in play. Now, this does not count as your energy for turn, and while this Pokemon is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 2 lightning energy. So this is reminiscent of the old Evolutions Electrode, right? And even Basic Electrode, which you could knock it out and then attach it as a special energy that provided 2 lightning energy cards. Charge Bug essentially does the same thing. However, you can only exclusively attach it to a VIKAVOLT or VIKAVOLT GX in play. Now, it's important to note that once it is attached, you can move it around with multi-switch, so that's really relevant potentially, and along with other abilities that can move lightning energy around. But the fact that you get an immediate 2 energy attachment, it's essentially a double lightning energy, or a double colorless energy, but a double lightning energy for lightning type VIKAVOLT based decks, right? So we have the old VIKAVOLT, which accelerates energy. We do have the VIKAVOLT GX, which has a very costly attack, and its damage output might not be good enough anymore for the stage 2, but we do have this brand new VIKAVOLT, which with its 150 HP has an ability Stealth Body, where if there is a stadium in play, this Pokemon has no weakness, so that's potentially pretty nice. And then we have the Lightning Strike attack. For a hefty cost of 3 lightning energies and 1 colorless, you do 120 damage. And then you may discard all lightning energy from this Pokemon, and if you do, this attack does 100 more damage. So with a Choice Band, you're essentially one-shotting other tag teams such as Pikarom, and Mimikyu and Gengar. You do fall short on a lot of the others, so you do need an extra damage modifier for Kukui, and I think that's what really brings this card short, or just short of being viable. If it was 120 plus 120, then with a Choice Band, you would be hitting perfect numbers against Eevee and Snorlax, along with Reshiram and Charizard GX. However, at a damage cap of 250 without a Professor Kukui, it just falls short, and despite it having a lot of synergy with the Charge Bug, almost breaking it, I would say, it's just not gonna quite make it, in my opinion, because the fact that you could Rare Candy into VIKAVOLT and then actually use the Charge Box both as an extra stage 1 to evolve or as an extra energy is just really good. And the synergy with the older VIKAVOLT as well, it's just the damage output is just almost there, but not quite. You can run Electro Power to increase your damage output even further, but you're already an inconsistent stage 2. So perhaps with a sort of Jirachi engine, I could see this deck being viable. It also has the support of Volkner, but I don't think it's a surprise that it hasn't been making the rounds in the Japanese format, where the formats are just so aggressive that setting up a stage 2, a single stage 2, can be quite difficult. So setting up more than one seems like you're just working uphill against your opponent from the beginning. And finally, we have Zeraora, a basic lightning Pokemon with 120 HP. Crush Claw, you discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, so actually a pretty neat card to try and combat against Zoroark, right? Because Zoroark with a Alolan Muk is pretty harsh against Zapdos decks. However, Crush Claw does make it very difficult for Zoroark to have continuous attacks, especially because there's no special energy recovery other than Orankuru in the current standard format, so there might be merit to Crush Claw. And then we also have the Discharge Attack, where you can discard all lightning energy from this Pokemon, and this attack does 50 damage for each card discarded that way. Pretty solid attack. In Expanded, there is the potential to play it with Electric. In Standard, you could play with VIKAVOLT, but you do have the Grass Energy left over. And overall, the damage output, it's like a mini Ray, but the discard is just very, very harsh on a lot of decks. So I don't think this card will see too much play, maybe as a tech one-off in Zapdos decks, where you get to use Crush Claw and slow down Zork to a halt, because if they're gonna Ace Roll, I might as well have them lose a special energy along the way. And so that will be all for our Lightning type Pokemon review. Next up we have Psychic, and we're gonna be starting off with Muk and Alolan Muk GX. Hope you guys are enjoying this bite-sized Unbroken Bonds reviews. Let me know in the comment section down below if you are, or if you would have preferred a much bigger review all at once. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.